Hi, this lesson is about note making. In today's lesson, you are going to learn how to make good notes, plus you are going to learn about the importance of note making. And now let's start with our lesson for today. Actually, note making is very important for a number of reasons. This is because it forces you to think, because you have to make decisions about what to write. It also helps you to pay attention to what you are reading or listening to. In addition, it assists your understanding and it helps you to concentrate. Furthermore, it helps you to remember more information. There are a number of techniques that you can use for making effective notes. One of the most important and significant techniques that you can use in order to make good notes is using graphic organizers. So, graphic organizers are important because they can help you make good notes. The first graphic organizer that you can use is T-charts. You are going to use a T-chart when you are reading for information, like the following T-chart. In the T-chart, you are going to write about the ideas which are important, plus the details and examples. And now, let's read the text about sharks to complete a T-chart. Sharks are carnivores. They eat all kinds of flesh. Sharks prefer tuna, mackerel, and even smaller sharks for dinner, but they will eat swimmers if the conditions are right. Sharks have very sharp senses of vision, hearing, and smell to help them find food. They can see 7 times better than humans and can hear sounds over 2 miles away. About 2/3 of a shark's brain is used for smell. So, if there is even a tiny amount of blood in the water, a shark will smell it, even if it's almost a mile away. Instead of bones, sharks have something called cartilage. Bones are hard and don't bend. Cartilage is flexible, allowing sharks to bend so their heads can reach their tails. The cartilage also allows sharks to turn very quickly. And now, let's check what we are going to write in our T-chart. As we mentioned previously, in our T-chart, we should write about the important ideas in the text, examples, and details. For example, the first important idea here is sharks are carnivores, which means meat eaters. The details that support this idea are they eat smaller fish, like tuna, mackerel, and sharks. The second important idea here is that sharks have sharp senses. The details are they see 7 times better than humans, they hear sounds over 2 miles, plus 2/3 of their brains are used for smell. The third and last important idea covered in the text is sharks have cartilage. The example here is that their bodies bend so their heads reach their tails, plus they turn very quickly. Once again, once we read for information, it's very important to make some notes. And the best graphic organizer that you can use in this case is the T-chart, as the one we used now. And now let's move to the second graphic organizer that you can use while you make notes. It's the Venn diagram. You use a Venn diagram when your reading is comparing and contrasting 2 things, which means describing how 2 things are the same or different. With the Venn diagram, you start with one circle, which is topic A, and then you join it with a second circle, which is topic B, and in these outside areas, you are going to write about the differences between the 2 topics, while here in the middle, you are going to write about the similarities between the two topics and what they share and have in common. And now let's apply this by reading a text. Now let's read a text about cats and dogs in order to complete the Venn diagram. Cats and dogs rank at the top of the most popular pets of today. Both of them have a vast number of similarities. However, there are differences between these two animals. The most obvious similarity is that they are both mammals. Being mammals, as both species are able to produce milk, which is used to nurse their young. Another similarity between dogs and cats is that they have fur. They both have claws, sharp teeth, forelegs, and usually a tail. Both cats and dogs like to have their owners show them affection too. On the other hand, cats are part of the feline species and dogs are part of the canine species. Dogs are known to be social animals, therefore, they require their owners to spend more time with them. In contrast, cats are referred to as loners and do very well on their own. And now let's check what can we write in the Venn diagram. Once we compare between cats and dogs, we can say that both of them are mammals that produce milk. They have fur. They have claws, sharp teeth, forelegs, and usually a tail. In addition, they like their owner to show them affection. On the other hand, once we talk about the differences between the two animals, we can say that cats belong to the feline species, while dogs belong to the canine species. Furthermore, cats are loners, while dogs are social animals. Once again, once we make notes comparing and contrasting two different things, which means showing the similarities and differences between them, the best graphic organizer that you can use is the Venn diagram, like the one we used previously. And now, let's move to the third diagram that you can use in order to make good notes. It is the process diagram. When you are learning about a step-by-step process, use a process diagram that shows steps or stages, like this one. As you see, in the first box, you are going to write about the first step. After that, you are going to write about the next one, and finally, the last step. Now, let's read about cavities to complete the process diagram. Have you ever wondered how you get cavities? The part of the tooth that you can see is called the crown. The crown of each tooth is covered with enamel, a very hard surface. Enamel protects the tooth. You have millions of bacteria or very tiny germs in your mouth. When you eat foods with sugar, like candy bars, the bacteria produce acids that eat through the enamel. The bacteria then get inside the tooth and cause it to decay. The decay can spread down into the tooth and cause it to die. Now let's use the process diagram to make notes about the text. As you see, in the process diagram, you are going to write about the steps in time order. For example, the first step here is we have bacteria in our mouth. When we eat foods with sugar, the bacteria make acids. The second step is acids eat through the enamel, which is hard covering of the tooth. And finally, bacteria get inside the tooth and cause the tooth to decay. So, once again, the third graphic organizer that you can use in order to make notes is the process diagram. We use the process diagram if we have steps and if we are going to write them in time order. Now let's move to the fourth graphic organizer that can help you make good notes, which is timelines. When you are reading about important events in history, make a timeline. As you see, in the following timeline, you are going to write about important dates and years plus the important events. Now, let's read about His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan in order to use a timeline and in order to make notes about the important events and years. His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan was the ruler of Abu Dhabi from 1966 to 2004, and he was the first president of the United Arab Emirates from 1971 to 2004. He was widely recognized as the father of the nation. He was born in Abu Dhabi around 1918. After the death of his father, Sheikh Zayed was raised in Al Ain and he received the education that shaped his life and character. Schooled in traditional values, he had a deep love and respect for the environment and was initiated into falconry, which became a lifelong passion. Sheikh Zayed passed away on the 2nd of November 2004. After reading the previous text, we can say that once we use the timeline, we should write about the important events plus the important years and dates. And the years and dates should be in time order. For example, we should start with the earlier years or dates and then we come to the last years. For example, the first important event mentioned in the text was His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan was born in Abu Dhabi, and the year here is this was around 1918. The second important event is he was the ruler of Abu Dhabi from 1966 to 2004. The third important event in his life is he was the first president of the UAE from 1971 to 2004. And the last important event in his life was that he died, which was on the 2nd of November 2004. Once again, if you are going to make notes, a good strategy that we can use is using graphic organizers. Graphic organizers actually help you to make good notes. There are different graphic organizers that you can use. If you are going to read for information, for example, you can use the cheat charts. And if you are going to compare and contrast between two different things, you can use the Venn diagram. In addition, if you are going to read about important events in history, you can use the timeline. Furthermore, if you are going to read a text that includes steps in time orders, you can use the process diagram too. And now, let's do an exercise that can assist your understanding. First, let's read about the steps you should follow. First, you're going to read the text. Second, while reading, you are going to think of the suitable graphic organizer or diagram that can help you make good notes. Now, let's read the text. How to create a poster for a school project. A poster is an essential tool in most school projects. It allows students to display information in a clear and readable way to others. Clarity and color are two of the most important elements when you design and create a poster. To create a poster, you should follow the following instructions. First, draw a sketch of the poster on a sketch paper. This will allow you to go through several drafts to get the layout and design right before you actually draw it on a poster. Second, transfer the final draft onto poster paper with a pencil just in case you need to erase anything in this initial process. Go over the pencil words and designs with dark markers. Third, draw any other designs with a stencil and go over these and fill them in with a marker or paint. And finally, hang the poster on a school wall or a classroom board. Now you have a minute to think of the diagram you are going to use in order to make good notes. Once we read this text, we will find out that it's a kind of how-to or a process one. This is because it includes steps and it explains how to do something, which is how to create a poster for a school project. This text includes steps and they are mentioned in time order. This is shown by the transitional words and phrases that are used here. For example, one of the transitional words is first, and others are second, third, and finally. So, as we learned, the most appropriate or the most important graphic organizer or suitable graphic organizer that you can use here is the process diagram. So let's check our answer. In the process diagram, we are going to write about the steps in time order. For example, the first step here is draw a sketch of the poster on a sketch paper. The following step is put the final draft onto a poster paper using a pencil and then highlight words and designs with a marker. The third step is draw any other designs and fill them in with a marker or paint. And finally, once your work is complete, the final step is hang the poster in your school. Now, let's sum up what we learned today in our lesson. We learned that note-making is very important because it assists your understanding and it helps you remember more information. In addition, there are a number of techniques that you can use for making effective notes and in order to make good notes. For example, you can use graphic organizers because they help you make good notes. There are a number of graphic organizers that you can use. For example, you can use T-charts if you are going to read for information. And in this T-chart, you are going to write about the important ideas and you are going to provide details and examples. The second graphic organizer or diagram that you can use in order to make good notes is the Venn diagram. And in this kind of diagram, you are going to write about the comparisons and about the contrasts between two different things. The third graphic organizer that you can use is the timeline. In timelines, you are going to write about the important events in history, plus the dates and years that are mentioned in time order. In the process diagram, you are going to write about the steps in time order, and these steps, of course, should be important ones. This brings us to the end of our lesson for today, that I hope you enjoyed it and you learned a lot from it. Thank you for paying attention and goodbye.